Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today's scrapbook project is a colorful explosion of shapes that I used to record a memory of our son building with his Legos. In this video, I'm going to show you some simple ways to use stencils on your scrapbook page backgrounds and in your titles. I can't wait to share this project with you. I'm working with the Rugged kit from Not Just for Boys Kit Club. As you can see, this is filled with a variety of patterns and prints from 49 Market, Pebbles, American Crafts, Photoplay, and Reminisce. This kit also includes a 12 by 12 orange letter sheet from Bella Boulevard, a Photoplay sticker sheet, chipboard elements, which are always fun to work with, some thickers from Vicki B, and this cool cardstock title cut. Each month, Not Just for Boys creates a collection of items that pair perfectly with their main kit. The Essentials kits has some awesome elements that you might want to consider grabbing. The Rugged Essentials comes with these thicker letters that have a subtle grid design, Cool Boy foam stickers, sweet appliques, and buttons. When you visit this site, you'll also discover a few more items in the shop, like these acrylics. I love how Not Just for Boys places their items in reusable packaging. On the back of each package label, there are images and elements that you can use on your projects. Isn't that awesome? As I create this project, I'll bring in a few more items to this layout, and I'll list those in the description below, along with the link to the kits that I'm sharing with you today. For my background, I will be using the Cool Boy pattern that's sprinkled with little X's in various colors of blue and green. In this photo, our son is wearing blue, and I want to bring as much of that color to the page as possible to keep him the focus of my layout. When I place this in the background, it gets a little lost, so I'm going to bring in some white cardstock and turn that pattern into a large frame. Now this is the part that you normally don't get to see, but I want to share my thought process with you. I want to bring in these two paper strips. Both of these are from the Going Places pattern. Originally, I sat these vertically and horizontally with my photo on the left. I wanted my title to overlap that horizontal pattern, but this configuration felt a little off. The photo is getting lost in the patterns, and it didn't work with the background paper. My title also doesn't fit very well. I decided to layer the pattern paper horizontally behind the photo. This is creating a grounding point for my photo, and it stands out as the focal point of the page. There's also plenty of room for my title cut at the base. There is quite a bit of white around the photo, and I feel like I need to add something behind it. I'm going to look through my stencils and see if I have a shape that fits the theme of the page. This stencil is a basket weave pattern, but it's shaped much like Lego bricks. I'm going to start with some Uncharted Mariner and lightly fill in that blue color. Uncharted Mariner is a dark blue, so I'm tapping off the excess ink in the lid before I add the ink to my page. I feel that it's much easier to add more color than it is to remove it, so I always start out very light-handed and add more color if I need. Once this is filled in with a soft blue, I want to add some random patches of gray, and I'm going to do that with weathered wood. My photo is going to sit in the center, so I'll add a little of this color on the edges and near the frame of my photo. This is a bit darker than the blue I added, so I think I'll bring in more of that Uncharted Mariner and darken this up a bit. As I said, this is a basket weave pattern, so if you wanted to trace those rectangles and make them look more like blocks, you can. Most of mine are going to be hidden, so I'm just going to leave this as is. I do, however, want to bring in a little bit of texture with splatter. I'm going to smush this ink pad on my glass board, mix in some water, and use a small brush to create the pattern. These are going to blend into the stencil pattern and add more to that frame around the photo. All right, I'm going to dry this real quick with a heat tool and then we'll continue working on the page. Off camera, I used my sewing machine to create an uneven stitching around the edges of the white cardstock. This wonky frame adds to the playful theme of the layout. I have cut chevrons in the larger paper strip and I'm going to set that in the center of the page. Over the top, I'll lay that arrow pattern. Now I feel like this needs a third color, so I'm going to cut a small strip from the Spice Foundations pattern from 49 in Market. This little bit of orange makes that photo stand out even more, and it gives me another color to play with. As I was layering these in place, I discovered an ink smudge near the base of the page. I know this has probably happened to you, so I'm going to share a little tip. If the ink hasn't soaked in too much, you can use a sanding eraser to remove the smudges. I have used this for years on my card making and scrapbooking projects. It works best with high quality paper and water-based ink. If the sanding eraser doesn't work, a white gel pen will. Many times I have used a white gel pen or a paint pen to cover up a small ink smudge or a rogue splatter. These two tools are a must-have for this crafter. Before I adhered that photo in place, I ran this page through my sewing machine again and added zigzag stitching on either side of the arrow pattern. This just brought a little bit more texture to the page. I want to add some color to that title piece. With a blending brush, I'm going to add a soft coloring of Uncharted Mariner, and then I'm going to come in with some weathered wood and give it some shading. Using the same two colors as the ones in the stenciling above creates some cohesiveness in this design. After I added the weathered wood, I needed to add another layer of Uncharted Mariner to darken this up a bit. It is difficult to see with all the ink on that silicone mat, but these two colors are creating a nice dark blue-gray color. The fill pieces for this title came with the kit, so I'm just going to color those with ink. I'm starting out with weathered wood and I'm going to add a soft layer to the C and the L. At this point, I don't know that they're going to stand out against the colors I added to the outline, and they really need to have more of a playful feel like the rest of the page. I've decided to fill them with a brick stencil. The letters are sitting on a sticky mat with the stencil, and I'm adding a dark layer of weathered wood over the top. I'm also going to bring in some of the dark blue from the Uncharted Mariner and add that around the edges of the letters. This sticky mat does an amazing job of holding everything in place as I blend the inks together. Isn't this such an amazing pattern? Stenciling your letters is such a simple way to enhance a title cut. At first, I was going to make the stars a bright blue, but then I watched Lacey's live in the Not Just for Boys community, and I was inspired by her bright yellow stars. I'm going to shade mine with spiced marmalade to match the orange pattern strip at the top of the page. Lacey did an amazing job showcasing items in the Rugged kit and using the sketch from this month's challenge. If you missed Lacey's live scrapbook event, you can join the Facebook group and catch the replay. I'll put a link to the group in the description below so that you can be inspired by her project. As I finish up these stars with black paint splatters, I would love it if you tap that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If you're already a subscriber, let me know that you're enjoying today's project by tapping that thumbs up icon or leaving me a comment below. I would love to know if you've been inspired to dress up those title cuts with stencils, ink, and paint. Off camera, I decided to paint the outline black with acrylic paint so that the letters stood out a little bit more, and I really like how this looks. I want to bring in more colors to match the Legos in the photo, but I don't want to add so much color that I lose focus from my son in the photo. I'm going to start with this foam sticker that says, "Have a creative, curious kind of day." This little bit of color here matches the Legos, but it's not overpowering. Near our son's face is a yellow Lego, so I'm going to bring in more of the orange and yellow colors with these acrylic pieces. The arrow at the top isn't standing out as much as I would like, so I'm going to bring in some black circles. Instead of cutting these from cardstock, I'm using these speech bubbles from the chipboard sheet. I just painted these black and I'm going to tuck these right near the photo. These are not only going to help those acrylic pieces stand out, they're also going to create some diagonal movement across my photo down to the title. Of course, once those were in place, I just had to add some stitching. I've placed a foam pad under my page and I'm using a die removal tool to create the stitching holes. If you're worried about creating uneven stitching shapes, you could trace the outline of those speech bubbles that are on the chipboard sheet. I just hand stitched these with 3 strands of embroidery thread. If you're one who doesn't like to sew, you could recreate this look with pens or markers. Now it's time to finish adding the embellishments to the page. I want to bring in some more black and white elements. Black does a great job of grounding brighter colors. I also love creating movement on my pages, so I'm going to add more arrows. These start at the top and they'll work their way down through the page. I'm also going to tuck some phrases here and there. One says, "Look at you." The other says, "This is my happy." When our son was this age, he was always building something with Legos. One holiday, he built me an M&M dispenser for my craft desk, and I still have it 20 years later. To tell the story of his love of Legos, I'm going to add a tag at the top. I couldn't find a pattern in the kit that I wanted to use for the tag, so I decided to cut one from the acrylics packaging. This black and white grid design is perfect for the page. I've also cut an adhesive sheet with the tag die, and I'm using that to adhere the 2 tag layers together. This is going to hide the printing on the back and give me more space to write the story. Alright, I'm going to add a few more items and finish up the page, then I'll share the completed layout with you. Here is the completed page. I don't know if you noticed this, but when I was adding the acrylic arrows, I layered them over or next to like colors. This makes them feel more connected to the other elements. I wanted to bring in more of those colors to my design, so I added some of the round puffies from the sticker sheet. I placed light colors near the arrows and created visual triangles with color. I have this cluster of 3 orange elements here, 5 yellow elements, 2 here, and 3 here. I also added a few more of those squiggly arrows throughout the page and down the title, and finished off the design with a little bit of twine at the top. This vibrant page is a colorful explosion of shapes to mirror the joy our kid had with Legos. Sticking to the brick theme, I enhanced that background and title with stencils, then sprinkled in playful arrows to add a dash of whimsy and flow to the design. The elements in the rugged kit fit this photo so well, and I love how it turned out. If you're one who enjoys pinning photos to inspiration boards, I have added still shots of this layout on the Not Just for Boys Kit Club blog and on my website for you to use. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you have any questions about the project or supplies listed below, feel free to post that in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.